but not unanimous. More on that in a second. Joe Burrow, Allen, Lamar, the reigning MVP, who I don't know is 60-23
Respect
all time.
my guy Matt Stafford's name. How about that? It's right where he was in the mountain, too.
Overrated.
Okay.
Who's saying that? Josh Frisky. Herbert, Stroud, Aaron Rodgers hasn't thrown for you.
Interesting list.
Goff, and then finally Dak. So we'll start with Dak at 10. Here's his stats last year for being the 10th best quarterback in the league.
That's pretty good.
Yeah, I don't see any 10s on there. So, Dak too high, too low, or just right?
Brew, I truly don't know where you're going to stand on this. We never talked before the show, but we also haven't talked in 10 days. Bruce been.
You were on the island.
So I'm curious what you're going to say, but I think this is basically the exact right spot for Dak. Even if I might have a couple guys who were behind him ahead of him and a couple guys who were ahead of him behind him. You know what I mean? Like but I think 10th best quarterback in the league is almost exactly right, especially because it seems like rookies were ineligible for this list. So if you're really high on Caleb like me or Jaden or Drake or whomever.
I don't know if they're ineligible. I just don't know if anyone's putting Caleb top 10.
Well, no, I don't think I mean.
You want Drake May top 10?
No,
maybe?
I don't think any rookie has ever, when they've done this, gotten top 10 votes. So they're de facto ineligible.
Yeah.
So, and that's why this is such a tough spot for Dallas, bro. Because he's clearly not in there's the Mahomes tier, then there is that tier right beneath it, which I think we all kind of agree on mostly who's in that. Lamar is in it, Josh Allen's in it, Burrow's in it. And he's clearly also better than guys like Baker or Kirk post Achilles, I think. I would say Tua in that, but I know we don't have to argue about it. He is somewhere in that meaty middle of good. And you love that quarterback on a rookie deal. You're fine with that quarterback on a good deal. And you're terrified of that quarterback on the highest, being the number one paid guy in the league, which is the spot Dallas finds themselves in. But as far as the actual pen-to-paper rankings, about 10 to me, Brew, is exactly right.
Yeah, I'm not mad at your analysis of that. I think there are a group of 7, 8 guys or so that are, any given year will go from 8 to 15 or whatever.
Correct.
Here are the 6 that are on that list behind Dak that you might want to argue. Someone might want to argue for. Tua, Jordan Love, Cousins, Jalen Hurts, Trevor Lawrence, and Brock Purdy.
Yes.
And I'm going to kind of compare each one to Dak. Tua, just no. Just no. I'm not putting him ahead of Dak.
Just no.
I mean, first of all, okay, one healthy season in 4 years. And can't beat any good teams. 1-6 against playoff teams.
And
then
God forbid
a brisk win. A brisk win. It'll be a little bit chilly.
The wind is okay
and
with
you're
the
done.
chill.
All right, so Tua's out.
Correct.
Jordan Love, only half a year of great production.
True.
All right, so let's just see a little more. I think I will say this.
You like Love more than Dak. But you haven't seen it enough?
Yeah, but I just want to see a little more.
That's fair.
Okay.
I think this year, Jordan will move ahead of Dak. So this season, at some point this season. Kirk Cousins, you said he's 36. He's coming off the Achilles. And he has a similar problem to Dak, but probably even worse. Just hasn't been able to win big games, but is even worse in primetime games. Jalen Hurts, one great year out of 4, though.
I thought you would have Jalen ahead of Dak.
Yeah, I mean,
you like Jalen more than you like Dak.
I get like he's only had one great season.
Yeah.
And you can say the first one he wasn't really a starter.
Yeah.
But 3 seasons he's had one great season.
He has to get penalized for the supernatural funk as well.
It wasn't really his fault though.
Well, he wasn't the solution to the supernatural funk.
Well, he will be this year. Watch.
Okay.
All right. So Jay, Trevor hasn't been great. Can we agree? Hasn't been great since college.
Trevor
so
doesn't
I'm not
deserve to be ahead of Dak.
Right. You can't believe. I mean, really, he hasn't been great since college.
Much like Jalen Hurts, one great year.
Right.
Yes.
Then the one guy, Brock Purdy.
Oh, this guy.
And
we're going to do Brock Purdy
thing. No, we're going to do a whole Purdy thing.
I got a lot of Purdy stuff.
I know, but Purdy is coming up.
I got a lot of Purdy stuff.
A3.
I got more. Look, here's the first thing.
No, do not show the Purdy graphics. What are we doing?
I got more. Believe me, I'm not gonna exhaust the tank. All right, I got plenty. Purdy has proven to be able to do what Dak can't. Which is play well in the playoffs.
I agree. That's why we should talk about it.
He's my guy. I am moving him to 10. Ahead
That's
of
the
Dak.
Brock Purdy
So
guy.
that's I got more when we get there, but I'm just giving
we're
you
not-
a little tease.
Okay, but to be.
He's just been better in the big game.
All right, that's fine. But to be clear, your answer to this is just right.
It's a group.
Right.
Can I make an argument for Dak?
Go ahead.
I don't
On behalf of Dak or
Yes.
against him?
Oh, no, pro Dak.
Okay, yeah.
And I will take my editorial leadership hat of Walking Boot Weekly off.
Walking boot. Okay, yeah, I forgot.
Because he was in a walking
that's
boot,
right.
and that always sends tremors
Hobble
through the
watch.
staff of
It was
Walking Boot.
nothing, though.
Well, he's in a walking boot.
Okay, but go ahead.
Yeah, but it was.
Go ahead.
Well, front page news, Walking Boot Weekly. In any event, if I'm Dak Prescott, he's on the show. We had A-Rod on the show coming up, and Dak Prescott here. He's like, "Hey guys, heard the segment. Did you see the full screen there where I completed the highest percentage of passes out of any quarterback, and I also threw the most touchdowns, so I was the most accurate, and I threw the most touchdowns. That seems to be better than 10th, statistically." And you're like, "What? You didn't produce in one game against the Packers in the playoffs?" Like, I get it, but I was balling out all year.
Okay. So the
Why am I at 10?
And the answer to that would be, if you feel bad, imagine how Tua feels. Because Tua's got like it. At least we are if I may, we are all at least consistent on this. Wildes as well. Wildes thinks Brew and I are too hard on Tua, and I think he thinks Brew and I are. I don't even know if too hard on Dak. I don't think this is a knock on Dak. The only to me guy that all of us would have ahead of Dak, that I think Dak would have a real gripe that all three of us, or at least Brew and I, have ahead of, is Justin Herbert. I think he's the only one that Dak might say, wait a minute.
Right.
You're
holding it against me.
You're holding it against me. This guy's 0-1 in the playoffs.
That's right.
And has a meltdown, and that is like, yeah, it's the eye test thing, and sorry.
And his youth, that, you expect him to improve.
But everyone else that we, not necessarily that is on the list ahead of him, but that we, all three of us, would unanimously say is ahead of him, has great regular season numbers and postseason success to go along with it on their resume.
Yeah. One asterisk, I would have Dak ahead of this guy.
I don't think so. I mean, obviously, they're just giving him respect for a great career and hoping he can do it again. But based on the last time we saw him, you can't have him in the top. And based on his age, being 40, and he's coming off the Achilles injury.
When you say the last time we saw him, you don't mean the Jets.
Not the Jets, right. I mean, that was
2022, we have
2022, here we go.
Yeah.
This is since he's become a starter in the league, which is the last 13 seasons. His last year in Green Bay, worst yards per game, worst passer rating, and second worst in all these other things. TDs, interceptions, yards per attempt. So he appears to be on the decline. And I know a lot of people say, well, he appeared to be on the decline 5 years ago and came back with 2 MVP seasons, but he's now 40, coming off a serious injury.
And if I can add to it, I think we all had a similar version of that graphic. I want to show mine, which is instead of where it ranked for his career, where it ranked in the league. So no one has adequately explained to me how, let's just all pretend the Achilles injury didn't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you expect a 40-year-old to be better with Bob Saleh and Nat Hackett 2 years from the previous year where he played full-time when he was below average?
And they're going to claim that thumb injury. Remember, it was kind of like that mysterious thumb.
I get it, but that same year,
he didn't really even use that as
and also, by the end, here's the problem with the thumb injury part of it. Because there's two things. People say thumb injury, and the other thing, people will be like, oh, actually the thing was this crazy thing. He didn't care.
Yeah.
He was not motivated. He actually didn't care, just wanted the money, but now he cares again. Do we think the thumb was as healthy as it was for months the final game of the year? Yes, because they were on that winning streak. Do we think in that final game of the regular season, at home against a divisional rival, he was peak motivated? Yes.
Yep.
How did that game end? The way so many of the most recent big games from Aaron have ended, with this just prayer ball, no reason, plenty of time, down 4, opportunity. Again, if you don't remember the context, that was Sunday Night Football because it was winning you're in for them. In that game, he threw for 200 yards, had 1 touchdown, that pick, an 83 rating, was 17 of 27. You can't convince me that player is now all of a sudden great. He once was great. And then when you add to it, oh yeah, and what happened in the meantime? He tore his Achilles tendon. How that guy is considered, by, as you put, a lot of these guys, a top 5 quarterback is wish casting.
Well, he has to prove it. At the very least, it's like, you got to go out and prove it. We're not going to assume you're going to be the old great Aaron Rodgers until we see it again.
Yeah. Are you talking about we, us, or you too? Because all I hear for you is
football America.
Okay, because I don't know where you're at.
You don't know where I'm going when it comes to my picks. But for now, he's got to prove it.
Okay.
I don't see, with the Jets quickly, he doesn't necessarily have to be a top 10 quarterback. They had a pretty good team, 7 wins, with the worst quarterback play in America. You like to deny it, but it's true. If he's just pretty good.
Just 3 wins. You only have to be 3 wins better than Zach Wilson and everybody else.
Shout out Ty Butler, who does radio on ESPN Radio in New York, texted me, said, man, when the Jets trade for Davante Adams, there are going to be so many parallels between bruised Nets and bruised Jets. He's not going to be able to.
The Davante Adams thing would change my tune a little bit.
It would? Oh, see, there we go. Both you guys can fall into that honey trap. There you go.
That's a little bit of a game changer.
There you go. Okay.
That's a little bit of a game changer.
The reason why we're not discussing Davante,
why?
Is I brought it up to Hubs, because Hubs is a Raiders fan. I really think he's trying to keep it
reason
You don't think he has a chance?
I think Nat Hackett will have Davante Adams running double reverses rather than posts. Yeah, I don't trust in all. I don't.
The guy went through a year with Josh McDaniels and Jimmy G.
I don't think an offense run by Nat Hackett and quarterbacked by a 40-year-old coming off an Achilles has a chance to be good.
It's Matt LaFleur's offense.
Okay.
You'd be like, hey, remember that?
Right.
Guy? Like,
okay. All right, we'll see.
Aaron's going to be running it.
If you thought Dak's numbers were good, well, you see?
I mean, those are some numbers, baby. I'm just saying.
No, Brew, you tried to squeeze. Oh, you
he already got to go on Purdy.
No, I got bored.
He already got to go on Purdy.
He's
about to filibuster, so just let me go first
Purdy
here.
Is not top
so
10.
Here's the thing, and I'm curious where this comes out, because everybody knows that I agree with the scouts and GMs on this. Obviously, Purdy's not top 10. And by the way, some of the guys behind him, because he came in.
Where did he come in?
11th. He came in 11th. But Jalen Hurts, who I'm not the biggest guy on in the world, I think is clearly better than him. Jordan Love, I think, is better than him. And by the way, the sample size isn't that demonstrably different between the two. Jordan Love's played 1 year. Purdy's played a year and a half. So I think that 11 is a little rich. Brew has positioned himself, Wildes, as the Purdy guy.
Yeah, that's true.
And now, and I bet he has a bunch of graphics explaining all of it.
They're easy. He makes graphics easy.
That's great. And now I am very curious to hear if in the entirety of this conversation, Bruce says at any point he thinks Purdy deserves to be firmly in the top 10.
Well, I said he was 10th.
10th. Okay,
I said I would put him ahead of Dak.
So you have him 10th.
Because I'm looking at it objectively.
So you don't have a big problem because he's 11th and he's 10th.
No,
so you have him 10th.
I'm not mad at 11.
Okay,
11 is fine.
exactly.
All right, but I'm saying, I said the last segment, I would move him ahead of Dak. I'm just being objective.
Yeah.
I'm not going off feelings. I'm not going off.
Well, then why
Dak's
is he
bigger.
not gonna be
Dak
top
looks
3?
more like a football player. You know, I'm going off the production. Period. And don't give me Jimmy G. Because, yes, they won with Jimmy G, but Jimmy G didn't lead the league in passer rating and the top 5 in MVP consideration and all of that stuff. He didn't put up nearly the numbers. He didn't pass. That's not first.
No.
Yeah. He didn't pass Joe Montana and Steve Young and Jeff Garcia in
now
yards
he says
in
who
the
has the
season.
record. Okay.
Garcia was nice that year. But anyway, here we go.
Let's get to the graphics.
I'm not surprised because a lot of the NFL scouts and stuff, look, they get enamored with the big arm.
They like their athletes to be big and strong.
Yeah, I mean,
They're
really.
crazy.
No, but real talk. Yeah. They get enamored with the wow factor.
Where they were
the
drafted.
The arm, the speed, the athleticism, where they were drafted. I get that. I do think I like the intangibles. Because I know that Tom Brady and Joe Montana did not wow you with their physical gifts, but they had it up here. All right, they were smart.
So he's like Brady and Montana.
He broke Montana's yardage record. I'm just saying that.
Montana
I'm not
had
saying
that
he's
record?
Joe Montana and Tom Brady.
Okay, yeah.
But what I'm saying is he's got the intangibles, the intelligence that make for a good quarterback, and not everybody looks at those things. But here's something, passer rating. Passer rating is fair. It takes out all the players around you. In the last 21, in his 21 starts for Purdy, 14 times he's had a passer rating of 100 or more. Oh, that's the most in the league in the last 21 games. Yeah. Any quarterback's last 21 games, Purdy has had a higher passer rating in terms of 100 or more than any player in the league. And you know, Nick, passer rating takes out
Is number
Christian
3 on that list
McCaffrey.
Russell
Passer
Wilson?
rating takes out, you know, Debo Samuel and all that.
No, it doesn't.
So you can't just go with the other players. It's about the quality of your throws.
No, passer rating. No, you're thinking, no. The passer rating is.
Well, QBR does some of that, but I'm saying passer rating is a legitimate
I do like the.
All right, so that's what I'm saying.
I don't agree.
It's not just, but it's not just.
One. Is that disrespectful, you think?
I mean, look, 79 to 1 is pretty impressive.
It was 79?
Because there were, it was close to 80,
okay,
nearly 80,
all right,
Scott.
got it.
So
I didn't
I don't know, 74 to 1.
Yeah.
You said nearly 80. But we talked about it when, who was it, Lamar? Or who were they talking about?
Look at the
CJ
board. I'm not
but
sure.
Anyway,
Tank Dell said CJ Stroud could be the best. Yeah.
I don't know how you argue for anyone but Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, you don't.
Feels like it.
Right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, what do you do? How are you putting somebody ahead of Patrick Mahomes?
And if you do, it can't be the guy he beats every year. If you're going to make the argument, it has to be like Lamar because he just won MVP. Or
Burrow's
Burrow,
the only guy with any success.
Right. Or maybe if somebody even said CJ, like he hasn't played him yet. There are things. And there was more disrespect. And there was more disrespect because I want to show you guys a quote from one of these anonymous scouts in the Mahomes section. He's never truly improved his footwork since he's been in the league.
That's a compliment.
Well, I knew you were going to say that, so in journalistic fairness for Brew's sake, I will show you the sentences before and after that quote. What's funny is he can still improve. He's never improved footwork since he's been in the league. It doesn't matter because he's so good. But that one sentence did stand there as it was. And more importantly, one of these 80-ish people said, Josh Allen's better than Patrick Mahomes, which means the board.
Wow.
I mean, this is just an outrage. And the board, we're not even to August. The board, you would think people would be scared of the board at this point.
Well, that person is. Anonymous is scared of the board.
You know what? Good point. But there, Mahomes not unanimous number 1. Dust, we're going to have to do some housekeeping there. But the board, look at all these things on the board. That guy saying the Chiefs are going to move to Dallas. Did Sean Payton really say Bo Nix reminds him of Patrick Mahomes? That happened. I mean, these are really some. Joe Shane, remember he was saying that Mahomes couldn't win in New York? Something about the media or the offensive line. I can't remember.
I said something for the board, too. I forgot.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.